All right, welcome to another episode of geekoutdoors.com and another year, and of course, another iPhone. This is 7, or so they say here. So, my thoughts on the iPhone 7. Now, before I get into this, and this starts turning into Android versus Apple war, um, on a video I did a while back, I talked about the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 and how boring it was to me and how boring smartphones are in general. That's just my opinion. So I will say that if I had to choose between an Apple iPhone or an Android phone, I'm not going to lie, I prefer Android. However, one of the things that I've always loved about Apple's products, specifically let's talk about the iPhones, is the simplicity and stability. Those are two things that I think that Apple does that no other manufacturer does better. That's just my opinion. If it's just those two things. With that being said, I would not put them there when it comes to having really revolutionary features or having features that people would actually want. The iPhone, Apple in general, just does a really good job of giving people less features, but yet people perceive that as being more, and so they'll pay more. So that is the power of branding, and that is the power of marketing. So getting that out of the way, let's look and see some of these new features of the iPhone 7 and of course the iPhone 7 Plus. So as you could probably see by the pictures, this is more of an iterative release, meaning that the design is not dramatically different. It looks a lot like the previous year's iPhone 6. And some of the new features, and I don't consider a new finish a feature, but some of the features are that it is water resistant, very similar to another phone with 7, and you know that as the Galaxy 7. And a new home button, which is really isn't a new home button. More or less, it's more like a touch button, so it's not doesn't have that mechanical feeling. And also, it does have a new 12 megapixel camera, and that's not really the most amazing thing about the camera. iPhones have always been known for having spectacular cameras. However, I think the Samsung series has overtaken them. However, there's iPhone 7 Plus model does have dual camera lens setup with two 12 megapixels cameras. This is very similar to what LG G5 has done and also some other Android manufacturers. However, what they've done with the iPhone 7 Plus is that the 2 megapixel cameras is primarily there to serve as an additional zoom feature, a very powerful zoom feature on a phone. And so it's up to a 10 times zoom, and it's a very really good looking clear zoom. It is software, however, because the other lens is also 12 megapixel, it looks really sharp and clear. So I think that is definitely a feature that is worthy to talk about. And also the display, you know what? iPhone is still behind as usual when it comes to certain features. They still don't have a 2K display. And talk all you want about it not being important, but it will be important once Apple releases this on the iPhone 8 with their new revolutionary 2K display. And I know as sarcastic as that sound, it's kind of true. Okay, now they are going to have a new A10 chip, and iPhones have always been known to have really powerful silicon underneath and really great at battery life. Despite not having as many cores, it is extremely powerful. It's great what their engineers have done there. Now here's the big one, and we all knew this was coming. I've talked about it before on many other videos. The iPhone 7's not going to have a headphone jack. They're basically going the recent model of the Motorola, that they're not going to have a headphone jack. And before I get further into this, I want to talk about something about all these new features, okay? Because people who are in the whole Android versus Apple space, one of the things that they always talk about is that all these new features are not new because they have already been done before, specifically on other Android phones. And that is true. So let me talk about a few things. First thing is splash and water resistant. Where have I heard of that before? Well, Go no further than the Samsung Galaxy S7 and even many iterations before that. This one has waterproofing, so this has had it way before the iPhone 7. And let's go back again. So the other new feature that they talk about is the new home button, where it's more of a touch sensitive and it's not mechanical. Well, other manufacturers have done that already before as well. HTC 10, I'm sorry, does the same thing with its home button, where it's touch sensitive and it's not mechanical. And the OnePlus phones have done that, and many other Android phones have done that as well. And let's go ahead and get to another new feature. I already talked about the dual camera setup. A lot of Android manufacturers already do that. I think Huawei released one just recently that has that. It was either Huawei or another Chinese manufacturer. I can't remember. And LG G5 obviously has a dual camera setup. And then let's go down even further. Okay, here, the no headphone jack thing. Well, the Moto Z was the first one to do that here in the US. But instead, the main difference here is they use USB Type-C, which is going to basically be the new standard for all manufacturers. But as usual, what Apple does, they like to keep things proprietary. So their jack is actually a Lightning connector, as I've discussed before in the past as well. So out of all these new features, they're not really new. They're just not. I mean, that's the truth. However, once again, the way that Apple does it in terms of simplicity and in terms of stability, I still really think they do it better than any other Android manufacturers. I mean, the only one that I think gets close to that level and actually exceed it in many areas, I think, is Samsung. I mean, the Galaxy S7, in my opinion, I think it's the best all-around phone, period. That's just my opinion. Okay. However, I still have to give the edge for stability still to the iPhone, and the performance. It's still the best in my opinion. Okay. Now, one thing that I did want to mention that I think was really revolutionary in my opinion, that I think that it's probably going to be the norm in the future, is their AirPods. I'm very excited about that because these are actually wireless. That is really cool. I mean, you could get Bluetooth earphones already. So the whole thing with not having wires for your earphones, once again, it is nothing new. This has been done before, but I think the way that the iPhone does it, I think it's going to work better. Okay, I mean, we've all had Bluetooth devices, and I just don't think it's as convenient as it should be, and sometimes it gets disconnected, and sometimes it doesn't even connect. So I think if there's any manufacturer that can improve the experience, I think it's going to be Apple. So that was really what got me, and I love their marketing taglines. So magical, I like that. So I really think the AirPods will be magical. But once again, it's going to be something that it's going to have all these things are going to cost you more. Okay, that's luckily they included a headphone adapter dongle, just like Moto Z did, and they're more than likely going to have many other accessories at a premium for their products. Okay, so overall, I mean, nothing that you were not expecting. I mean, they did expand the storage finally to 32 gig minimum, but unfortunately, unlike Android phones, specifically the Samsung Galaxy S7, once again, I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a micro SD card slot on an iPhone, where you could actually have expandable storage. So, yeah, but overall, nothing really exciting, and that was to be expected. It's more of, the typical Apple iPhone stuff, and a lot of their keynotes for the past few years have been getting a lot of flack, but they still sell millions and millions of units. However, year over year, their sales have gone down, and Apple is not a dumb company, and neither are any of these other big electronic manufacturers. They know what is happening. They know what's occurring. And so I'm pretty sure Apple is going to have something up its sleeve before it gets overtaken by these really powerful mid-range Android phones. I think that's really where it's heading, mid-range and budget Android phones. And we've seen that already, where you're getting some really high quality at a really good price. And so there'll still be a market for the high-end Android phones, but I really think it's going to be relegated to the big manufacturers like Samsung, and maybe if LG gets their act together, maybe LG and Hopefully, HTC will get back into the game as well. But overall, these past few phone releases of all of these that I'm showing you here, they're just not, they're really nothing exciting anymore, And with the Apple iPhone, it's never been, like, to me, the most exciting thing, because from a real geek, in my opinion, a geek's point of view, I just don't think the iPhone 7, in terms of the technical features, things that are new, things that are actually useful, for the most part, I don't think that they are anything that would just really stand out, But they're still going to sell a bazillion phones. So, okay, so that is basically my overall thoughts about the iPhone 7 release. If you had any comments or ideas, leave them there in the description below. And if you want to start another Android and Apple flame war, well, you could do that as well, or watch any of the other videos I have where I talk about that. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget, I am on Snapchat at Geek Outdoors. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.